Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the yet another episode of Daily Word Web. Seventh one, right? Seventh episode है यहाँ पे. The roots we'll be looking at will be corpus, corp, and soma. That stand for body. Okay, and aren't words embodiments of ideas? They are, right? And by the way, guys, the way I select these statements or I create these statements. उसके पीछे एक छोटा सा प्रोसेस है. वो प्रोसेस ये है कि आई ट्राई टू हैव एटलीस्ट सम पार्ट ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट रिलेटेड टू द रूट related or be relevant to the root at hand. For example, यहाँ पे हम लोग corpus, corp and soma की बात कर रहे हैं, which stands for body. So obviously, embodiments. That's why I've used the word embodiments here, right? Aren't words embodiments of ideas? So it's not just some random statement that I put here. Anyhow, अच्छा, by the way, मेरा introduction I'm Anupam Mishra and बाकी detailed introduction मैं आपको मेरे credential आपको session के end में बताऊंगा, तो आप उस समय देख लीजिएगा. अभी right now let's jump into the session. एपिसोड के फ्लो का सवाल है. आई थिंक आप लोग जो लोग एपिसोड देखते आए आपको ऑलरेडी पता है, सो यू कैन डायरेक्टली स्किप दिस पार्ट. वो आप खुद से समझ जाइएगा. आई स्टिल नीड टू रिकॉर्ड दिस फॉर द न्यू लर्नर्स हु माइट बी वाचिंग दिस एंड फॉर द न्यू गाइज पीपल हु आर वाचिंग दिस फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. सी इट्स pretty straightforward, guys. एपिसोड फ्लो में मैं आपको नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में आई टेल यू अबाउट द information about the root कि उसका origin क्या है, meaning क्या है. Then we'll go into the gist of the episode जहाँ पे हम लोग will study about words that come from this root. Okay. And then finally we'll look at these words in action as part of sentences. एक छोटा सा टेस्ट देंगे उसके बाद आप और बाद में समराइज करके हम लोग इसे क्लोज करेंगे. Okay. So see, it's quite simple, guys. So far as the roots for today is concerned, corpus हो गया, corp हो गया, soma हो गया. Out of these, corpus and corp, they both come from the Latin language and they mean body. And soma comes from the Greek language, which also stands for body, right? There are other similar roots जिनका मतलब कुछ हद तक इनसे मिलता जुलता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कान, राइट, एज इन द वर्ड कार्निवोरस, राइट. कार्निवोरस एनिमल्स आर एनिमल्स दैट eat flesh. So Khan in Latin stands for flesh. So that's a similar root, but that's a root that we'll get into like in some other session. आज के लिए we'll be sticking to corpus, corp and soma. Okay. We have realized that the manner in which we are picking the roots here, it follows some logic here, right? The logic of dichotomies, as मैंने एक पुराने session में discuss किया था, right? For example, the last two roots that we picked up related to the idea of mind, right? As in psyche and animus, they were both related to mind, and now we have picked up, we have gone for corpus, corp, and soma that stand for body. Before that, in the earlier sessions, we picked up roots. We studied words basis roots of light and darkness, है ना. Light and darkness के roots का discussion हमने किया था. Lum, lumen, luz, and for darkness we had noct, nox, umbra for shadow, right? So yeah, so we have been following that flow here. Anyhow, coming to today's words, the first word that we have today is incorporate. And incorporate, obviously the corporate part, it comes from corpus, that's or corp, that stands for body, and in would stand for in this case into, right? So incorporate, like incorporate can have multiple meanings in multiple contexts. One of the meanings would be to unite an entity into a pre-existing whole. For example, suppose we were to ask you, अगर मैं आपको ये कहूँ कि you should incorporate vocabulary building exercises into your preparation plan for your CAT exam, right? तो अगर मैं बोलूँ कि आपको vocabulary building exercises को अपने preparation plan का हिस्सा बनाना चाहिए, so essentially what I'm saying is कि this, well, body or the preparation plan that you have already, जो आपका already एक pre-existing set है, I want you to make this part of this, right? This should become part of this pre-existing body, which is your preparation plan, right? So incorporate would be like to unite an entity, a new entity, into a pre-existing whole, right? So, or another usage for this could be, for example, I have been trying to incorporate nutritional food or healthy food into my daily routine, right? As part of my daily diet routine, right? Into my diet. So मेरा जो normal diet होता है उसके अंदर मैं I'm trying to incorporate healthy foods or nutritional foods into my regular diet plan. तो मेरा जो regular diet plan है उसके अंदर I'm trying to incorporate that. I'm trying to bring this into the body, into this pre-existing body, right? So that's incorporate for you. Another usage of incorporate could be like when you incorporate a firm, okay? So to form a legal corporation, right? So when you say So आगे जाके मान लीजिए आप कुछ वेंचर शुरू करते हैं, आप खुद एंटरप्रेन्योर बनते हैं, and then you'll obviously have to incorporate your company, right? So that basically means that you're trying to, you're 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 essentially creating, you're turning your company into a legally recognized body. Okay, now it will be considered something real after the company has been incorporated. It will be considered as a real entity. Okay, so like it has been formed into a real body, right? You actually incorporated that. आपने उसको एक body में एक real form दे दिया है, right? Obviously it's not something that they will necessarily will be able to touch. Of course you might be able to touch the assets of your company, like your building or maybe जो भी आपके assets हैं company के, but it will still be an abstract idea, but it is at least as not as abstract as before incorporating it. Now it will be recognized as a proper organization, as a proper corporation. By the way, corporation also comes from corpus or corp, right? So corporation would be a body of business functions working together, or people working together towards a common goal. So yeah, so that's about incorporate, corporation, etc. Let's move on to the next word, which is corporeal. Okay, let's यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा एक delineation कर देते हैं हम लोग. Corporeal को यहाँ पे लिखेंगे. So corporeal relates to anything that to the bodily or physical aspects of an entity. Okay, so corporeal pleasures, for example. So Buddha once enlightened figured that Gautam Buddha once enlightened figured that corporeal pleasures cannot be the answers to life's problems, right? So corporeal pleasures would relate to pleasures of the body or bodily pleasures, right? So he realized that corporeal pleasure से कुछ नहीं होने वाला वैसे करके. Or another sometimes people use corporeal, sometimes they also use the word corporal. Okay, corporal also means something similar, that something that relates to the body, right? There used to be this idea of corporal punishment. I'm not sure if you've heard of this. Corporal punishment would be punishment that where so it is something that probably your parents or grandparents might have told you about at some point of time in your childhood कि ऐसे बताते, बहुत बार कहानियाँ बताते कि हमारे ज़माने में तो अगर होमवर्क नहीं करो तो टीचर छड़ी से मारते थे. So when the teachers would like reprimand them with sticks and rulers, that's essentially a form of punishment that involves their body, right? That उनके body पे उनको मारा जा रहा है, हाथ पे मारा जा रहा है. So that's corporal punishment, right? So that's corporal punishment. Not I don't think it's practiced anywhere these days. Anyhow, so that's about corporeal and corporal. Let's move on to the next word, which is corpulent. Corpulent again derives from body, and corpulent basically means it's kind of a sophisticated term for calling someone fat or obese or bulky, right? If you call someone corpulent, you are essentially what you're saying is that they are fat, like they're too big, okay, and not big in a good sense, like they kind of fat and obese, right? So corpulent stands for that. So yeah, I think that's corpulent. So next, let's come to corpus. Now, a corpus is simply a compilation of written or spoken works. It's basically a large body of text written for. देखो, I can also draw sometimes. So it's basically a large body of text that is written or has been drafted related to some particular subject, maybe. So that would be a corpus, right? So this would be considered a corpus, a large body of text. It can be in the form of multiple set of books. It can be in the form of a multiple set of papers, or just a large amount of data could be considered a corpus, right, of something. So that's one meaning of it. Another meaning of it is like the body of a human or an animal. Generally a body that is not alive anymore. तो वहाँ पे आप corpus use करते हैं. However, that reminds me of another word, which is corpse. C-O-R. Corpse is basically a dead body, right? Corpse is basically simply a dead body. So of a person, usually of a person. So that also comes from the same root, corpus, body, right? So that's corpse. There's another term, corpus से एक और term याद आ रहा है मुझे, which is it's actually a legal term. It goes something like habeas corpus, H-A-B-E-A-S, and C-O-R-P-U-S. Now this literally in Latin means that you shall have the body. इसका Latin में अगर मैं literal meaning बोलूँ तो वो होगा you shall have the body. I'm gonna write it down. Have the body. Okay. It's basically a writ that is, पहले काफी बार like until our legislation, our legislature or sorry not legislation, laws had been like quite well developed. जब तक हमारा legal system इतना develop नहीं हुआ था, all over हमारा मतलब as in all over the world. Oftentimes, people in the police, generally, especially the ones who were not, who did not have very strong integrity, probably, would take advantage of their powers, right? वो क्या करेंगे कि बहुत बार like लोगों को जाके जेल में बंद कर देंगे without any proper reason or evidence, right? And like even if the person has not been tried in court, they will still just detain them. And that's when to tackle this issue, this writ was brought into place, which basically meant that you cannot hold a person or detain a person without sufficient reason, without providing reason to the judge, right? So like that. So habeas corpus is a writ where a person who's been brought under arrest is required to be brought before a judge or into court, so as to ensure that the person's arrest or detention has been lawful, is warranted by evidence. मतलब उसको ऐसे ही तो बंद नहीं किया गया है, right? So that's why it means habeas corpus means that it's from the perspective of the judge, think of a judge telling the officers that you shall bring the person in body here, you should produce the person in body here, so that I can add so that I can figure out that whether he has been detained on lawful grounds, on basis of some evidence, or is it just or the basis simply happens to be some whimsical decision on your part, right? So that's habeas corpus for you. So it's I think the term, the exact definition would be like something like a writ requiring a person under arrest to be brought before a judge or into court, especially to secure the person's release, unless lawful grounds are shown for their detention. Okay, that's habeas corpus for you. Okay, next we have in line the word psychosomatic. Okay, psychosomatic is very similar to another word that we learned earlier, which was, I think, in the last session, psychogenesis, right? So a psychogenesis illness would be an illness that doesn't have any origin in the physiological aspects of the person's body, doesn't have a physiological origin, right? वो actually body में सही में कहीं पे pain हो रहा है, इसलिए ऐसा नहीं है. It's more due to it's more related to their psychology, right? It's mainly because it mainly involves their mind. It's mainly involves them being too stressed about something, maybe, right? So वो उनके सोचने की वजह से हो जा रहा है. Maybe kind of a negative placebo effect. You can think of it like that. So psychosomatic comes from two roots. Soma is for body and psycho from psyche, that means mind. So a psychosomatic illness would be an illness that has been brought about in the body due to the mind. Okay, so that involves both the interaction of the body and mind, and then usually it's something that has been brought about in the body due to the mind. So वो आपका psychosomatic होगा. Physical symptom caused by stress, right? That can be considered psychosomatic in nature. So yes, guys. So that's about today's words. Incorporate, corporeal, corpulent, corpus, psychosomatic, and other secondary words that we learned here today. Now to check the sentences, let's look at the first one. It says, it had taken 2 billion years for primitive cells to incorporate a nucleus, the first step towards complexity, right? So to make nucleus a part of their body, it took the primitive cells more than 2 billion years, right? To incorporate means to make part of their body. Okay, next. Occasionally the feature transmitted through heredity was not even corporeal, right? So the features and the characteristics that are being transmitted through heredity, they were not just related to, the bodily aspects of the organism. Like, for example, a manner of walking would not be corporeal, right? Manner of walking is a way of walking. वो उसका body से एकदम direct relation नहीं होगा. Or maybe a way of staring into space, right? So again, it is not directly related to your body. Like for example, the color of your eyes would be corporeal. Would be a corporeal characteristic. It directly relates, but not the way of doing things would not be related directly to your body, right? Or even a state of mind. So yeah. So occasionally the feature transmitted through heredity was not even corporeal, right? So not even directly related to the body, as exemplified here. Next, Lincoln was about 5 feet 9, so extremely corpulent. It means so extremely fat and obese as to seem much shorter than he really was, right? So he's talking about how this person was 5 feet 9 and so fat that he seemed even more short, right? Even shorter than what he really was. Okay, next, at the end of the day, this is a huge corpus of data, right? So this is a huge body of data that will be used by historians. So corpus here stands for body of data. Next, some of those officials were influenced by an FBI report that concluded the ailments were a kind of functional illness or stress-induced psychosomatic response, right? So so some of those officials were influenced by an FBI report. So report ने क्या conclude किया कि ये जो बहुत सारी बीमारियां हो रही है, जो ailments हो रहे हैं, they are actually functional illnesses. They are not really, they don't have a physiological origin. They are mainly stress induced. They mainly have psychological, have more of a psychological basis to them, right? So that's psychosomatic for you. So yeah, that's about the sentence usage, guys. So guys, in this part, you can pause this video here and uske baad, like, complete this exercise, figure out what will be the right sequence here, like which sentence will fit for the first word A, B, C, D, E, then the same for second word, third word, fourth word, and fifth word. You can also attempt this test in the Google form in the description, link to which has been given in the description of the video. Finally, the summary. 9 words is we went through 9 words today: incorporate, corporeal, corpulent, corpus, psychosomatic, corporation, corporal, corpse, habeas corpus. And habeas corpus would be a term, would be an expression, not just a word. Then the roots we learned about were corpus, corp, and soma on a primary basis. On a secondary basis, we learned about the root in. The into variation, the variation of the root in that stands for into, not the one that stands for something that is opposite to it, something else, right? Not the opposite prefix. And the psyche variation is this I think we've already discussed at length in the earlier session. So in this route. Okay, so that was about the summary. Okay guys, so finally about myself, I'm Anupam Mishra and I'm Lucknow alumnus. These are my areas of work and these are the brands that I've worked with in the past. I have also worked as an educator in the past with an academy, and I was recognized by the Johnny Ive Award and considered arguably as the best VRC educator that they had. And well, these are my CAT credentials, and we are a growing channel right now at this moment, and we need all the support that we can get. If you find our content, अगर आपको हमारा content, हमारा delivery, ये सब चीज़ें आपको अच्छी लग रही हैं, तो definitely इस वीडियो को share करें with all those people, with all the learners and students जिनको ये helpful हो सकता है, who might find this interesting, and do consider subscribing to the channel and liking the videos, so that like it might seem like a very small thing on your part, but it goes a long way. It plays a major role when it comes to an upcoming brand like Sluggers. So yeah, so that's about it guys. I'll see you in the next session.